Hello, true believers. This is the Comic Book Club. I am your host, Jamil Payne, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Amanda Coney.
I'm really happy to be here. I have my cats and my coffee and my comics, and I'm ready to go.
Great. So, this is probably going to be a short episode. Shorter than usual. Well, that's what we say, right? But who knows? Well, we're here to talk about the Ultimates. But before we do, Amanda, you seen a movie recently? Like, we're talking about space, right? We're talking about space.
Yeah.
And before we get to that, you seen a space movie of sorts?
Yeah, sort of. Maybe there was some fighting in the space. Maybe something even approaching a war.
Oh, okay.
Like a space war.
A space war of some sort.
Yeah. That's cute. No, I had a night where it was snowing already, so I didn't want to go out, and I said, well, Netflix is pushing this solo Star Wars story movie at me, and this is the first time I haven't seen a Star Wars movie in the theater first. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, let's do it. And let's just say I was blaming people who didn't even know I watched the movie for watching it. I was like, you assholes, let me watch this movie. And they're like, what are you talking about? So that's the short version.
Okay, and the long version. No, because look, I want to talk about this with somebody because I've been arguing with people on the internet, and that's never healthy. So
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's the thing. A lot of the individual scenes in this movie were very cool.
Right.
And I feel like Rogue One was also like that.
I think Rogue One is a much better movie.
Yes. But I feel like the individual scenes from Rogue One don't add up to, like the entire movie as a whole isn't better than any of the individual scenes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the whole is more than the sum of its parts.
Right.
Solo, I think the whole might be less than the sum of the parts.
Wow.
And I was trying to put my finger on why I was disappointed.
Uh-huh.
And I think it comes down to, well, first of all, I think I will need to revisit this movie again in like a year or two. Because part of why I'm disappointed is just the surprise at the characters being different than I expected. And specifically, I had this impression of Han Solo from watching A New Hope. My impression of him was that he was mostly a guy who had his shit together.
Right.
Like, yeah, he was capable of thinking fast and, he could get himself out of a fix. But I felt like he was somebody who mostly had their life together until Luke and Obi-Wan came bumbling in and just threw this huge curveball at his life. So to have the entire Solo movie...
Hold on. Is it the fact... Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say. Maybe I'm wrong. Is the fact that, like, he goes through that whole arc in one movie as he did in 3 movies? In a way?
No. It's just Solo never shows him being competent. He's just so I was sitting here assuming that Han Solo was a guy who had his shit together, and then he falls into the rebels, and his life, swerves out of control, and he's gotta think on his feet and use his street smarts and all this stuff. But Solo shows him like he literally never changed. Like, he was always kind of a bumbling, idiot who was, like, always on the verge of being killed for having lost his last smuggling shipment.
And always halfway a good guy. Like, that's what bothered me is, like, he goes through an arc in the original three movies, right? He starts off as a very selfish person, then ends up a good guy, right?
Yeah.
And he does that within this movie, right? He starts off as a good person, becomes selfish. Like, that's the thing. He never got to the selfish part. Like, he never fully got to the selfish part. Like, he was
Like
always,
they were afraid to let us not like Han Solo, which is kind of necessary to create an arc. You have to, if you're going to, if the arc is he goes from unlikable to lovable, you can't be afraid to show him in a negative light at some point. And so I think that's sort of what frustrated me was I was coming in I had, 20 plus years of preconceived notions based on watching the original trilogy about who I thought Han Solo was, and Lando and the Millennium Falcon and everything. And then they come in and they change it. And I'm like, okay, well, there's going to be some friction there. Like, I can't even be fair to the people who made this movie because, like, I was just expecting something completely different.
look, I think this is the category of aggressively mediocre. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay, but like, I don't like what they did with Han. I don't like, what's his name, Arjun Killian as Han Solo. I think he has none of the charm, none of the like wit, or whatever you want to call it, that Harrison Ford has. And I know that's a tough act to follow, but he just doesn't have it, not even a little bit. And this is only 10 years apparently before A New Hope, so it's just like, he just ain't there. And like, I think what the more interesting story would have been, and I think this is what they tried to do, is like at the end of the story, he was supposed to be back because he got screwed over by like everybody, which kind of happens, but he still does it with like a wink and a smile. You know what I'm saying? If this movie would have end right with Woody Harrelson trying to kill him, and like his girlfriend like leaving him but trying to kill, like if this would end, like, it should have ended a lot more darker than it should have. Like, he should have been like in a really despondent place at the end of this story.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of fun all the way through. And like I said, he goes through his whole arc, and like, and it showed that he was always kind of good. So what's the point of the original three movies if he always kind of had like a heart of gold? Like, what's the point then? He's not a
Yeah.
scoundrel. He's not a scruffy looking nerf herder. He's always been kind of a good guy. Like, ain't what I want to see. I didn't want him to like be murdering people in the streets. That's not what I wanted. But like,
Yeah, we're squarely in the Han shot first camp is the
yes,
problem.
I mean, and what he does in his movie at the end, which I do appreciate, right? I do appreciate that they do that. Like, in the end, I do. Then like, there's this weird cameo with Darth Maul.
Was it Darth Maul or was it just another
No,
one
no,
of those
no,
guys?
no. That was Darth Maul.
Oh, great.
Which again, it begs the question, right? Like, are you setting up?
I assumed he was just one of the guys from Clone Wars. Like, I wasn't even paying enough attention by the end of the movie to.
No, Darth Maul is in Clone Wars.
Yes, he is, but so are like we're one of the things I learned watching Clone Wars is that the black and red guys are just like a race.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot of them.
And look, I'm glad this movie didn't do well because like, they set up a sequel, and I'm thinking to myself, was they setting up like Han Solo meeting Darth Maul? Because in A New Hope, he said he's never seen anything like that shit. Like, that was the thing, right? He didn't believe in the Jedi or none of that magic shit. So if he meets Darth Maul in the sequel, what the fuck does that mean? Like, my mind just kept like rushing through things. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck are they doing. And like, it goes through that sequel problem of like, it explains way too much.
Mm. I will there is one thing that I did really like.
What's that?
So I liked this idea that the Millennium Falcon was actually a ship in pretty good shape, and that Han, through sort of like short-sighted decisions, is actually the one who trashes it. Because no, and this is great because that is a better version. Like, I had assumed that the Millennium Falcon was just like a ridiculously old ship, and that he had like rehabbed it. But going the other direction, being like, oh, actually, he got this like, souped up tugboat of a ship, and like it was really nice, and he trashed it through his own like, short-sightedness and carelessness or whatever. Like, actually, like, I kind of like that turn.
Well, it makes sense, right? It's Lando's ship, and if there's one thing about Lando we know is Lando ain't running around in no piece of shit.
Right.
Like Lando is a space pimp. Space pimps run around in the Cadillac of spaceships.
Yeah, I just kind of when you hear that story of him winning in a car game, I kind of assumed that the Millennium Falcon was like one of many ships that Lando owned.
Right.
And he just liked it because it was really fast, not necessarily that it was like his baby.
But it makes sense though, because like when he sees it in it in Empire Strikes Back, the first thing he says to him is, "What did you do to my ship?"
Right.
That is the first thing he says. Look,
yeah.
I think honestly, they skipped over the best part of Han Solo's story is the fact that he was a fighter pilot. He was a TIE fighter pilot at some point. Wouldn't that have been a lot more interesting than what the fuck we got? Like to show him wash out, to show him like if he wanted to have him have like kind of a heart of gold, but still have him be a scoundrel, right? That's right. I'm just writing fan fiction now. Wouldn't it make more sense for him to be like in fighter pilot school and stormtrooper school, and like seeing like how cruel like the Empire is?
Isn't that a little bit of like what we got with Finn though?
A little bit, yeah. That's why.
I think that's what people would have been like if we hadn't had that story element recently. But I think that people would have been like, oh no, like you're just doing the same thing again with Han Solo.
I guess, but like that's way more interesting.
It is.
if he fell in with these guys while he was well, technically he does in this movie, but like as he was trying to be a fire pilot, you know what I'm saying, being a top fire pilot. If he fell in with these guys and decided, he rather live free than to be part of the Empire, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a whole better story. Like we pick up after he washed out. I'm like that's no fun. Like I want to see him. Like I want to see what that's like. And
and it would have been great to see him because we see him fly the Falcon and we see him fly the other like mercenaries ship,
right,
the other smuggling ship. But like we should have seen him. Like that would have been a really great way to show what a good pilot he would be to show him like flying a TIE fighter better than everybody else.
Exactly.
Because for all we know, it's just that the Millennium Falcon is the best ship ever, and anybody who has it would be a good pilot. So that would have been a really great way to like really show his skill rather than just telling us over and over again that he's the best.
And like, again, all these elements are in this movie. They're just not in a way that I find like satisfying. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it doesn't have the Audrey Killian, what the fuck his name is, doesn't exude Han Solo, like he just doesn't. Donald Glover does a lot better job at as being Lando than dude does being Han Solo. And that's that's saying a lot from me. You know how I feel about Donald Glover. But
oh, I forgot. The other thing I was really disappointed in was that there wasn't like in the 90s when Will Smith would do a song about the movie for the credits.
Right.
We did not get a Donald Glover, Childish Gambino solo end credit sequence.
So
that was a really missed opportunity.
What did you think of Donald Glover as Lando?
I thought that the way um this is an interesting fact about me. I'm a dancer, so I'm very interested in people's body language and how they carry themselves.
Right.
And I feel like Donald Glover walked the right way. Like he had the Lando walk down, and I feel like that was 90% of getting the character.
Okay.
So I feel like that really worked for me. And I feel like that's a little bit of why, the casting for some of the other characters didn't work as well.
So, I think Donald Glover is probably the best thing about this movie. I think he does the best job of capturing like a character that has another actor.
Mm-hmm.
But this is gonna sound weird, right? Even though he's better than everybody else, it's still just okay. Cause honestly, he's just doing an impersonation of Billy D. Williams. But here's the problem with Donald Glover as Billy D. Williams. There's several problems, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he just and like Billy D. Williams has always been effortless, just cool, right? Just exude that coolness.
Okay.
Donald Glover really doesn't have that.
He's
Like
a little nerdy.
I made the joke, right? Like women used to throw their panties at Billy D. Williams. Like every woman in the world, especially black women, want to have sex with Billy D. Williams,
I am
right?
learning so much right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like
No, this is great.
No, Billy D. Williams was supposed to be the next big thing that came out of Black Hollywood. For some reason, it never quite worked out right for him because Billy D. Williams was like a matinee idol. That's how good looking he was,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how cool he was. Donald Glover, and this is not his fault because nobody can be that. Doesn't have that. I don't see women throwing their underwear at Donald Glover. Look, my mama told me she had Billy D. Williams posters in her room. That's the level of like we talking about like for black people. We are talking about like new kids on the block level of like sexiness, if that make any sense. For for reference.
No, you're doing a great job of making me like reinterpret part of the 80s.
The 70s. This is the 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, and again, this is not Donald Glover's fault. I want to make that clear. I don't think I would have casted him
Mm-hmm.
personally. Like he's a good actor. Like all my jokes aside about hating him, he's a really good actor and he does an admirable job. But like he doesn't look like whatchamacallit. He doesn't like what I'm saying. He just doesn't look like Billy D. Williams. He sounds a bit like Billy D. Williams, and like I said, he doesn't exude necessarily that cool. And I think what it is, and I hate to say this is, I think to white people, just all black people are cool.
There is definitely like on the coolness scale of 1 to 10. I think you do get like a plus 1 or 2 bonus for being black. I mean, like that's not all there is, but you're right. There is a little bit of a buffer there.
Like it makes sense, right? Like he one of the hottest things in Hollywood right now. You know what I'm saying? His brand recognition is off the charts. He is talented and he is a good actor, so I see why. But I almost feel like they should maybe cast somebody else a little that's not as known, maybe a model or something. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing that we saw with Black Panther last year. It was like you can make a movie that's full of black people without Donald Glover.
Exactly.
Like there are so many actors and actresses who are like ridiculously talented that you can choose from besides the 3 that have been on the Today Show.
But look, he's the best thing about the movie, so I'm not criticizing him because there's just nothing you can help. You just can't, no one can be as cool as Jack Nicholson, and that's nobody's fault. You just can't be as cool as Jack Nicholson. So it's just the same thing. But yeah, so Solo, it's okay.
I really do want to rewatch it in a year or two once I'm no longer surprised at how it's not what I expected, and then it might be easier for me to judge like what parts of it were good or bad. Just like same thing with the prequel trilogy. Like when I first saw them, I was just so upset at how they were different, and now in retrospect, I will rewatch Phantom Menace for the crazy costumes alone. Like there are some great hats in that movie.
The art direction in that movie is great. It's just the
Uh-huh.
plot is just
Uh-huh.
put you to sleep.
But like, right. So I would be really interested to come back to this one in a year or two and see like what I like about it once I'm no longer surprised.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the prequels. I'm gonna tell you how much time heals all, right? As much as I dislike those movies, I buy every toy, every high end action figure that comes out from the prequels because George Lucas is a fucking genius. Everything in those movies, in those prequel movies, are made to be a toy.
Yeah.
Like you know, the original Star Wars, it was just toyetic by mistake. You know what I'm saying? But everything, like every character, every monster, every creature, ship, everything is just made to be a toy. And we're like a decade on from it now. So when I see like a $60 action figure of like Mace Windu, I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I think I'm gonna buy that. Like, you know, I see like $120 action figure of Anakin. I fucking hate Anakin Skywalker. But that toy was really cool though. Like, okay.
Well, so anyways, thank you for asking because almost everybody is over Solo, and I came late to the party, and I was obviously a little shocked. And like, thank you for letting me get this.
I think we're done with Star Wars. I'm sure it'll come up again in December. Aren't you excited?
Yeah. Every time I think I don't have any more energy in me to talk about Star Wars, I'm surprised at how angry I can get.
All right. So today we are talking.
Speaking of angry surprises.
Okay. Today we are talking about the Ultimates from 2015. Not to be confused with the legendary Mark Miller run of the Ultimates from the Ultimate Comics from the early 2000s, because, you know, that's not confusing at all. The Ultimates is a 2015 comic book written by Al Ewing and mostly drawn by Kenneth, Rocafort? Rocafort. Thank you. It ran from October 2015 to October 2016. It contains 12 issues, and I'm just going to read this synopsis right quick. Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Miss America Chavez, Spectrum, Blue Marvel. The ultimate super team comes together to find and fix problems beyond the limits of the infinite. From cosmic forces lurking on Earth to what waits on the outside of the omniverse, the impossible is where they start. So, Amanda, what did you think of the Ultimates?
All right. Well, first I gotta say you forgot to mention that the lettering was done by Joe Sabino, of VC, and I just want to mention him because this was a team book with a lot of different characters talking at the same time, and I was always able to tell what order to read the dialogue and which character was speaking, which means that he did a great job, and I think that I want to acknowledge this positive aspect of the series right away, is that the lettering and the editing allowed me to understand what was going on. Now, I may not have liked what was going on, but I can't dismiss the technical skill required to let me read all those words.
Luckily, it's not that many words. Luckily, I got to this a lot quicker than I did.
Yeah.
So, I read this. The reason I wanted to do this was because I kept hearing for like the last 3 years how good it was. How like I've heard it compared favorably to other things that has to do with cosmic or space things, which I tend to lean towards when it comes to comic books.
Yeah.
So like, oh, well, I have to read this. Yeah, it stars like a bunch of characters that I either actively dislike or know nothing about. But you know what though? I've been won over before. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not impossible. I keep an open mind about these things, right?
Mhm.
It ain't happened this time. I'm gonna say this. I actually did like this book. I like this. I like the cosmic aspect of this book. I just wish it starred different characters. I don't think it's necessarily Al Ewing's fault
Mhm.
because I think he just worked with what he had, and there's concepts and stuff in here that I really, really like. But I don't know if I like any of these fucking characters.
Yeah. So I also usually go towards the cosmic side of Marvel also. Like I'm definitely a Thor Guardians type fan.
Right.
But I actually found the sci-fi technobabble in here like really, really poorly done.
Really?
Yeah, I found it this was at the level of like that episode of Voyager where Janeway and Paris turn into lizards because they go to warp 11.
Ooh, I remember that episode.
Right. So like this is like scraping bottom like writer's strike Star Trek level.
Wow.
I mean, parts of it were fine, but I was like, wow, I'm super not digging this ISO 8 like subplot explanation for everything. And the blue Marvel
Yes.
scientist who was mostly the perpetrator of that, I was just like, you are full of bullshit, man. Like, I cannot handle you as a character or like the things that you're being made to say for the story or like the elements, the sci-fi, you know, crazy elements you're bringing in. Like, I'm not okay with any of that. So I think that was that was the thing that bothered me the most.
So, like,
But on the other hand, so I just made like a negative Star Trek comparison. I thought the idea of like Galactus is not an enemy to be killed. He is a problem to be solved, and
right.
he's someone that you can help. Like that is like a super Star Trekky thought, and I did kind of like that idea. So, you know, it was like a whole season of Voyager wrapped up in one book, and that's not great.
And just like Voyager is uneven as fuck. But
Yeah.
it's so many highs and lows, and like when it's low, it's really really fucking low, and when it's high, it's just kind of high. Like it never reaches the heights as low as it gets. And I think so. Look, for me, right, I got a lot of hangups as like a hardcore like comic person. And that I never thought I'll be, but I've been reading so many comics. You know what I'm saying? You just eventually you turn into one as much as you try not to. So there's some characters here that I know like comic gates like people hate. You know what I'm saying? So I was really trying to keep an open mind about those certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I tried, Amanda, I don't like America Chavez, and I don't like Carol Danvers, and I don't like I don't like Blue Marvel kind of either. I tried, and I fucking tried my best. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at them. I'm seeing all the cool shit they doing, and I still actively dislike these.
I didn't really like this version of America Chavez either. I liked her in Young Avengers though.
See, I've never read Young
Right,
Avengers.
right. It's just she felt like a completely different character here. The only thing that was really the same was like her power set and her costume.
Well, look, I'm gonna tell you
Which
something.
is fine, but
That costume kind of stupid. Like, look, you know me. I'm all for boob windows and like short shorts and stuff. Look, you know me. I'm guilty as charged, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for her to talk the way she talked and look the way she looked, but dress like that, she looks like a fucking idiot. Like, and that's me. I know, and it's not because she's a woman or that she's gay. It's just like, if you're going to be this super serious, like, number one, the beginning with the selfie and the dancing, I want to punch my screen.
Uh-huh. I'm telling you, this is late fifth season Voyager.
And this is like the first full thing I think I've ever read with her besides like an issue, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, oh, and like there's a terrible introduction to this character, like
That is like not a thing that like that is just like not a thing that I expected her to do ever, based on like that felt really out of character.
and like what? It's just like and like, you know, maybe because I'm old and the selfie shit. No, but fuck it, I take selfies too. It just seems weird that you're taking a selfie in the middle of a black hole with Cthulhu monsters coming out. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you dancing? What is this shit? Then you flip a switch and you super serious. I don't, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man, say something.
Oh, I mean, no, it just occurs to me that this Voyager analogy really does make sense, because that is sort of like a Star Trek solution to a problem, that like you have to be really happy and use like the power of human emotion to solve a sci-fi problem. But like it's also really stupid. And she's not the right character to have that happen, or at least not at the beginning, because we haven't seen her enough of her personality to know that being happy enough to close a black hole is a big deal for her. Like, we haven't earned that at all. It just feels, I feel like if this had been like later in the series, maybe it would have landed better. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and like I said, that costume, man, you know, like sometimes she wear like a diamond studded, like you know, American flag hat, and I'm just like, you can't be talking about cosmic forces and taking Carol Danvers to like alternate universes to see what like predictive like law enforcement looks like, and dress like you going to the club. I don't fucking know. Her costume is stupid, and I don't like it. I don't like it. It's ridiculous. Why can't she have a costume like everybody else? Why does it have to be like some shit? Like, and you know what? This is the third character like this I've seen. They did this with Batgirl. They did this with Spider Woman, and then it's her. Where like they have like these costumes, but they also look like streetwear, and it's only for the women apparently, and it's aggravating. Put them in a superhero suit. Like, I'm sorry, it bothers me, man.
No, it's interesting because part of it feels like actual just cosplay bait.
Well, like all these characters, man. Look, all these new characters that's coming gay, and not just coming gay, but a lot of older fans have a problem with, is because a lot of these characters feel like cosplay bait. Her, the new Miss Marvel, Camilla Khan, fucking
Yeah.
Spider Gwen. Hell,
Yeah.
even Kara Danvers to a certain extent. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these characters feel like cosplay bait.
Right. And it's not a bad way to design a costume by asking yourself the question, like, would actual women I know want to wear this in real life? But I think I agree that it's a little bit distracting that they don't have like a uniform, at least.
She has on short shorts,
Right.
a tank top, and a hoodie.
Like her, I think I'm gonna bring in the Power Rangers for a second.
Okay.
She's wearing this outfit that we see her in.
Yeah.
Should be her Angel Grove Community Center outfit.
Yes.
And then she should also have an actual uniform that she wears if it's like a really serious fight.
Like her powers are cool, right? Like I
Yeah.
like her powers. I should like her. Like that's the thing. I really tried to like this character and I look for the positive. In concept, I should like this character. But they make her super unlikable. Then like she drops out for issues at a time because they feel like they don't know what the fuck to do with her. You know what I'm saying? And like they don't do a lot. And they keep putting in these things with her like girlfriend where like she's supposed to be happy and she's never happy. She's never fucking happy. But she dressed like she's about to go out fucking bar hopping. I don't know, man. It's just not computing with me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not even spend that much time on her.
No. I think she's I think that's the idea, is that she's a character that has a lot of potential, but that I bet if we could go in the time machine and ask Al Ewing if he wanted to write her, I bet he'd say no. I bet she was picked as they said, oh, this is a character who was pretty popular when she showed up in Young Avengers, and then we brought her back for something else, and we need to keep using her because she's kind of popular, but she hasn't really like landed strongly in like we don't know where she goes yet, and we don't think she can have a solo book. And like this just feels like a really great candidate for like editorial intervention. Like they told him, you need to use these characters.
Well,
you need to use her, and you need to make her have a girlfriend.
And make sure you mention it every time you because like there's a couple of times where like they throw it in your face, and I don't mean that in a bad way, right? But again, it's like that thing where it's like,
well, he's just got like 4 bullet points written down about her, and one is patriotic booty shorts, and the second one is has cute girlfriend. And like he doesn't have other information or ideas about her.
And she exactly. And Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Again, I try and like
she's just like Janeway, you know? She's just like grumpy space mom looking for a nebula full of coffee. And she's willing to kill people, you know?
It's like the wrong way you write strong female characters is just to make them completely unlikable. Like, she's not affable at all. Like, and it's just like, she kind of the star of your book. You might want to not make her likable. Not saying she has to be cracking jokes. That's not what I'm saying.
But I mean, we've recently talked about several characters who were unlikable, but we were able to relate to them in ways that we even found scary or unsettling personally. And then to read this version of Captain Marvel and be like, okay, she's just like slightly unlikable compared to those characters, but I can't freaking stand her.
And like, I think to myself, like, are there other strong female characters? Because again, I'm trying to internalize this as a man. Like, do I not just dislike her because she's a strong woman and I don't like strong women, or like women who are in charge? And I'm like, nah, because I fucking love Wonder Woman. I've loved Wonder Woman book, and Wonder Woman is a straight up fucking Amazon warrior, and I love her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And she can be no nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always with an air of likability and humility. Carol Danvers is now the premier female of Marvel. And this is around the time where they kind of promoted her. This is within like 2 or 3 years of her becoming Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is not how make, you don't make your premiere woman a sourpuss.
Yeah.
Am I being sexist right now?
You're not, because first you stopped and said, do I just not like her because she's a woman? And then you were able to elaborate on that. So you're not. Like literally just being like stopping for a second, like, you know, just asking the question is all you have to do. You can still hate women. You just have to ask yourself first. Like, do I hate her because she's a woman? Probably not. Okay. And then you keep going.
We should talk about the biggest problem with this book, honestly. And it's not the characters. It's not even the writing per se. It's
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it's crossover with something and it completely brings this story damn near to a halt because it has to set up a whole nother event.
Yeah, this is the first like event book we've read, right?
It's not even an event book. It's like a side piece to an event book.
Yeah. No, that definitely, I definitely felt the first volume, I was like, okay, this is fine. And then the second volume we read, I was like, this is like nothing happened. And you're right, it was because they were just setting stuff up.
Then like major shit happened. Then like major shit happened that didn't happen in this
Hmm.
book. Like all of
Hmm.
a sudden between issues, Danvers and T'Challa are enemies now.
Hmm.
Like that didn't happen in the book I'm reading. The
Yeah.
Tricillion got destroyed. That didn't happen in our book. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that didn't happen in the book we are reading. And like you put this as a collection of a standalone story, and there's nothing standalone about it. Then like Cara Danvers already starts unlikable. Then as the story goes on, she becomes more and more of a fucking villain.
Yeah.
It's just like, what am I reading? Like, I feel like maybe he could have won us over if they just would have left him alone. If you had these characters with him, and they said, do what you want, don't worry about what in any event, tell your long form story. This book would have been better for it.
So that was a really important thing to bring up as well, because we've already mentioned that, you know, maybe the writer was handed these characters and told, these are the characters you need to use. Here's 3 bullet points about them. That's all you have to know. And then also he was probably given a manifest of like, and this is the outline of the event that we're doing. All of these things have to come into your story.
Because Carol Danvers played a major part in that story.
Yeah.
The only good part the only good part that was well done with working that story in is when they talk about fighting Thanos, right?
Mhm.
And like they tell them the plan, but they show them what happened in the Civil War II comic,
Mhm.
and how like the plan didn't go as they as they thought. Then like
Yeah.
Iron Man pops up for like 3 seconds. She's like, "What the fuck is going on? I don't like care about any of this. I just want to read about. I just want to read about these people having their cool space adventures.
Yeah.
Like I really want to like this book. I really did, and I just think it was okay. I just think it was okay to bad. I really do.
Okay. I have another surprise complaint slash observation, which is not about things that were beyond the control of the writer.
What's that?
Um, what does your nose look like? Do you have a cute little button nose that's kind of red at the tip?
No.
Okay. Everyone in this book, for all of the issues that were drawn by the main artist, Rockefeller,
Oh no! I want to bring this up.
the noses are like adorable little like elf noses. And I just can't stop, like every single panel I look at, that's like all I see are these cute little button noses that are pink at the end. Like cats or something.
The art's not very good. The art is not like it is not terrible,
Right.
but it's not like I think his layouts are better than his art. And like, you know, this, I tell you this, issue 6 and issue 12 was written by Chris Ward, and he does a better job with these characters and concepts and how to draw it than the main series artist.
Yeah. And the color and the styles for those issues were also just like completely different and like a little bit like more abstract, like something that would work better for a cosmic book.
Exactly. And you know, everybody always laugh about how Marvel art has been terrible the last decade or so. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but like, man, this is not good art. I mean, it's not the worst I've seen. You know what I'm saying? It's not, but it's not like it's like it has no. It has very little character, and what little character it does have, I don't like.
Yeah. But the nose thing just killed me every time I saw it, though. Especially because he so frequently draws people looking directly out of the page, so you get like the tiny little circle at the end of like, I don't know if it's supposed to be highlighted or whatever, but I'm just like, dude, like look at some pictures. That's not what everyone's nose looks like.
Especially, look, especially in the book drawn with a bunch of black people. My nose definitely don't look like that, so I don't know what the hell.
Yeah.
And
black people are not white people with an Instagram filter. Like, that's not.
The covers are nice though. All the covers are really good in this book. I can say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went over Chavez and Captain Marvel. Blue Marvel we kind of went over. He's okay. He's kind of a Superman type. He really doesn't have a personality. I feel like I need to read more about him. Like I don't even know where this character come from. Like
right.
Like this character is completely new to me. Like I've heard about him. I've heard some of my friends talk about him, but it seems like he doesn't have his own book or ever has or a mini series or something. It just like he popped out of nowhere.
Well, I think we would need to talk about him in combination with his friend Anti-Man, and how sort of this is almost the whole thing is sort of a story of like Galactus changing in character and creating a new Herald, and how that's Anti-Man. So like at some level, this whole thing is really just like an origin story for like Bizarro, Galactus, and Silver Surfer. And that the Anti-Man character was sort of this like opposition to Blue Marvel, and they're both more interesting characters when you like look at them together. And yet we had the majority of the book was just Blue Marvel without his opposite.
Which again, interesting concept. Maybe not the best execution. I said, I'm looking stuff up about him, and apparently he does have like a book or something at one point. But again, it seemed like he comes out of nowhere. It seemed like one of these characters they trying to push, and I don't know if it's working. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in 15 years there'll be a Blue Marvel movie, and he's the biggest thing since sliced bread. It just I have no. And like the two characters that I'm interested in the most are. They don't really do much, and that's Monica Rambeau and fucking like Black Panther. Like look, Monica Rambeau is the only female Captain Marvel I recognize. By the way, I just would like y'all to know that, and I think it's fucked up that now she's like Carol Danvers' like sidekick when she was Captain Marvel first.
Yeah.
So I have like an affinity towards her a little bit, like her and Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
And I just feel like they don't do enough. personally.
Yeah, I feel like she was, I did kind of like the break in the fourth wall explanation where they're talking about their fight with Thanos, and she's like, why didn't I just use my super OP powers and like enter his brain as light and then explode him from the inside? She's like, why don't I literally do that to everyone every time I fight them? And there's like some stupid explanation about like, oh, like we're not, like we're humans, we're not just like infallible characters or whatever. And I kind of liked that as like an apology for the entire genre of superhero comics.
So what did you think of Thanos in this story?
I thought he was wasted. I thought you don't bring out Thanos to play unless it's a big deal.
Well, again, this is my argument about Thanos. Thanos, it wasn't a big deal till they decided to put him in a movie. And like Thanos is actually used more like this than like you think. Not kind of now. They've kind of made him like the biggest of big bads in Marvel, but it wasn't always the case. So to me, this feels about right for Thanos. Believe it or not. But yeah, I'm personally not like a huge fan of Thanos a lot of the times, cause like that gobbledygook he be spitting about death just irks the shit out of me.
Yeah, I don't know. At least he's got. I'm gonna quote the Big Lebowski here. Say what you will about nihilism, dude, but at least it's an ethos, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Just how I was raised. It's just like you never that much of a sucker for a woman who don't want you, and Death clearly don't want him.
Yeah.
And he just begging. He just always begging. Please love me, Death. Anyway. But yeah, it's just weird that they randomly have Thanos in this story. Like it's just like you think you would save that for another arc, right? You think that would be his whole arc into itself.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like it's okay for Thanos to not be like an event book, but like he should at least have like a whole arc or like a whole issue even. Like the characters should be concerned that they have to fight him, not just like, well, we got half a dozen of us here, that's plenty, let's go.
You know, and like people comparing the Dark Side, right? If Dark Side showed up in the comic, rest assured, it's gonna take more than a half dozen people to stop Dark Side.
Yeah.
That's just a nerd in me. Excuse me. Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like to say about this book before we wrap up, Amanda?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I would just go back to what I started with was it's a book with a lot of moving pieces, and I at least understood everything that was going on, and the art was fine. I didn't hate it. I read it pretty quickly. I kind of wish that everyone involved in this story had been able to just do whatever they wanted. So, like, if I saw another book by Al Ewing, I would probably read it.
Well, there is the Ultimates too.
I probably wouldn't read that. Did he write anything else?
Oh wow! Apparently, this is like the pinnacle. This is like the best work he's done.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But again, like you know what?
I take all that back. You're all losers. You suck. I don't want anything to do with you.
That is me. Look, I am gonna read Ultimates too,
Okay.
Because maybe that's better, and I will report back on this show for a brief synopsis and tell you if that's any better.
Okay.
Again, it still has America Chavez, so I don't know. I don't fucking know. But like this does, you know what? No, now that we in this tip of like cosmic Marvel, this makes me want to read. Have you ever read Annihilation?
You mean the comic?
Yes.
No.
Not the book and the movie starring
Natalie Portman. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I read Annihilation, and then I was like, you're clearly not talking about the book with the.
But you know what though? That's pretty spacey too. To be fair.
Well, that's why I was confused because I was like, Annihilation was totally in the genre of like the Marvel Cosmic Universe. It just didn't feature. Well, actually, it did. It featured Jane Foster. She's in dismay over Thor dumping her, and so she goes on this wacky camping adventure in the middle of nowhere.
With mutant alligators. No,
yeah.
But this does make me like Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest. It's like 5 volumes and like maybe a couple of thousand pages. It's really good. It makes me want to read that. It makes me want to go back to read when like the Marvel Cosmic stuff had almost absolutely nothing to do with Earth at all.
Okay.
So we might be reading that in the future. That might be a future Prestige format show.
All right.
At some point, yeah. So, but yeah. So yeah. All right, Amanda. I guess that's it for this. What are we reading in a couple of weeks?
Okay, we had talked recently, and I had mentioned that I really liked American Born Chinese, which is a creator-owned. I want to make sure I look up his name so I say it correctly. So give me a second. Jean Luen Yang. And he's also written, some Superman. He wrote a lot of the Avatar comics from the Nickelodeon series, which were really good. And I wanted to read something else by him. So I picked out Boxers and Saints, which is supposed to be sort of historical fiction. And I believe that the conceit is that he tells the story twice, once from each side. But I don't really know anything else about it besides the fact that it's been on my list because I read American Born Chinese for like a really long time. So this will be something that's more in the independent, creator-owned, not superhero genre for us, but still grounded pretty firmly in reality, to offset the Sandman that we're reading as well.
And you know, because of Sandman and probably the books like this, I just want to give everybody a heads up. I think my choices, at least for a little while now, are going to be a lot more poppy than they have been, like a lot more superhero-y. Cause man, I have to balance this shit out.
Yeah.
You know, I like there's a lot of gloom and doom on the comic book club right about then. A lot of seriousness and a lot of groundness. I think my choices are going to be not necessarily out of left field, but it's probably going to be a lot more mainstream, at least for a little while, at least for the next few months.
I'm completely on board with that.
So, all right, Amanda, I guess that's it. We'll be reading Boxers and Saints in a couple of weeks. We see you guys later. I'm Jamil Payne.
I'm Amanda Comey.
And we are out.